that happen? Shall we start again? Uh, Good afternoon, class, and happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend, and it's Labor Day, but we don't get a day off. We have to keep on learning. Okay, sorry about tech problems. All right, what we want to do today is I want to do a little bit more work with the map. The cows, it's called Cows of America map that we were building last time. Correct the problem that we ran into, and show you a better way to make multiple copies of a map. And then we're going to talk about, well, how do you share your map with the world from ArcGIS on Pro to ArcGIS Online. Okay, so some new material picking up where we left off. And then I also want to show you we'll spend some time looking at this PowerPoint that I'm building, which is it's a collection of slides. Think of it as a summary of the stuff that we've learned, and it's a review of the material that's relevant to your first exam, okay, which is coming up in a little while, okay? And then, if we have time, we will look through, I'll look through Chapter 3 in the textbook and try to demonstrate some of the new items that you encounter in Chapter 3. All right, reminder, sign up for lab sessions this week on Thursday, and then tomorrow Hannah will be there to open up the lab at 1 p.m., between 1 and 3 p.m., and there's a sign up for that as well on the same sign up sheet. If you want to go to the lab tomorrow, I won't be on campus at that time, but the lab will be open and ready and available for you to use if you want to go and do some work. All right. Questions, as usual, put in the comments. Let's get started. Okay. Boom. Let me know if you, well, I think you can still hear me. All right. Okay, so I've got ArcGIS Pro open on my desktop. Make it a little bigger. There we go. Okay. So let's see. Last time, what were we? We were working on this Cows of America map. So here it is, and I've got two layers on my map that are variations of the same feature class in my geodatabase, this U.S. states local. And I'm going to delete this for a second. Nope, I'll leave it there. I'll just name it something. We're going to redo that. So U.S. states local, we got two layers on our map, which are copies of that same, which are created from copies of that same feature class, U.S. states local, but then I've renamed them. This one I call cattle inventory, and this one I call number of cows per person. And what I'm doing in these two layers is they have different symbology to show different variables, different attributes of the data. So using graduated symbols, I'm showing the number of cows in thousands in the various states, and using a color scale, I'm showing you the ratio of cows to humans in the various states. So South Dakota is mostly cows, apparently. It's got over 4 cows per person. So cows outnumber people in South Dakota. All right, so I was showing you guys last time that, let me close this, make this a little bigger, try to center it a little better. Here we go. So I was showing you guys, introducing you guys last time to the concept of making a layout. And on a layout, these are, this is a presentation of your map. And the purpose of the layout then is you're going to either export it as, you know, some document, a PDF, a JPEG, to share it, or you're going to print it out to make a hard copy of your map. And so this particular layout has a map box here, or a map frame showing this map, the contiguous US states. And then what I was doing last time was I was showing you that you can put these insets in here, map frames, to show other maps of Alaska and Hawaii, because if I zoom out here and zoom in on Alaska, the projection that I'm using for the United States, the 48 contiguous United States, is not very good projection for Alaska. This is a conic projection, and it's designed to be give you high fidelity of shapes and areas and distances here in these middle latitudes, but in these northern latitudes you get a lot of distortion. Okay, things look squished. All right, so what I was trying to show you guys last time is you have a map in ArcGIS Pro, and you want to make a carbon copy of that map, and because you want to show a different geographic region, and you want to show it using a different map projection. And so the strategy I was trying to do was, well, let's just save that map into my project folder and then pull it back in and make a second map. And that didn't work too well because it broke the linkages between my map layers and the data for whatever reason. So let me show you a better way to do this. Okay. And so what I'll do, so I have this map, and I basically want to make a copy of this map. So what I did was these layers, cattle inventory and number of cows per person, if you right click on here, one of the options down here under data, sharing, is to save this as a layer file. So I did that. You pick a name, and then you'll see it. Here it is, cattle inventory LYRX. It's an ArcGIS layer file. So so what this layer file contains is all the knowledge of where the data is in your file structure in the geodatabase, and all the knowledge of your symbology. What colors you're using, what symbols you're using, what technique you're using to visualize your data. What it doesn't include is the data itself. Okay, that's important. It has like all the rules for showing the data just like you want, but the data itself is not there. But it thinks it knows where the data is, and if you and it'll look for the data where it thinks it is. And if it's on the same computer, it's going to find it because it is where it thinks it is. But if you moved that layer file to another computer, it probably wouldn't work, because the data that it needs to generate the visualization, to generate the map, isn't necessarily there. Or maybe it is, but it's not in the right place. All right, so you can save a layer, including all of its data, using a file format that's called a layer package. So that word package crops up from time to time in GIS, and a package means that you're packaging everything you need to share that map, and that includes the data. All right, so we're not gonna. So I did that here, and then I made a save as layer file here for the number of cows per person layer as well. So I have those layer files. All right. Then what I do is let's create, go to the Insert tab, and let's insert a new map. Right, a new map. It pops up here. Let's give it a name. I'm going to give it a name called I'm going to give it a name called web share for a reason. You'll see later why it's called web share. And then what I can do is I can, well, let's put the same base layer on, or base map. Base map was light gray canvas. I'll turn off the references. So it's just a non-intrusive map of the world to help orient us. And then I'm going to drag these layer files. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. Here they are. These layer files to my map. And you'll see they render exactly the same thing. Okay. And so that's what I did to generate this Alaska map and this Hawaii map as well. So again, I'm doing this because this map of the contiguous US has a projection that's not necessarily good for Hawaii or Alaska. So I wanted to re-project using a different projected coordinate system. And so here what I did to find the coordinate system that worked is I just searched for Alaska, and then we have lots of options. I choose one of these in the state system. I think I chose this one. I wonder what this one does. Looks exactly the same to me. Okay. And in Hawaii, I did the same thing. So here's another thing you can do. Again, the map projection you use depends on the region that you're trying to map. And you know, if you're trying to show Hawaii, you want a map projection that's tuned to that area of the globe. And so one of the things you can do in ArcGIS Pro is when you're choosing the map projection that you want to use, you can actually filter by location. Okay, let me show you how you do that. We might have already done this before, but let's do it again. So you can go to, so I'm in my Hawaii map here, and right click on Hawaii, go to properties, and then here on the spatial filter button, click that and do a set spatial filter. And let me back out here. So what I like to do is zoom in on the area that I want to make a map of. So here it's Hawaii, and I wonder why that island isn't one represented in the polygons. Huh? It's a mystery island. And I'll go in here and I'll do a spatial filter, and I'll say filter based on current visible extent. And then I usually change this to from the spatial reference used in this projection to decimal degrees, the geographic coordinates of latitude and longitude represented in this map. Click apply, and that filters out a lot of the projections. So let's see, projected coordinate systems. So you know, when you're trying to represent things in the United States, using projections in the state plane system are good. And I think I just picked, let's just pick this one. Okay, so I picked the projection that works. And now, in my layout, this map right here, if we show you the properties, I've selected the Alaska map to show in that map frame. And then this one, I've selected the Hawaii map to show in this map frame. So this map frame, gonna move it around. Oh, nope, I didn't want that. I want this one up here. Activate, I want to move my, maybe go out a little more. Oh, too far. We'll stay right there. So this map frame is using an Albers projection that's appropriate for the continental United States. This map frame is using a projection that's appropriate for Alaska, and this map frame is using a projection that's appropriate for Hawaii. Okay, I've put my legend in here and resized things. So now I have this beautiful document, and I'm ready to export it. Let's save it. And I showed you how to do this last time. You go to Share, Export Layout, and then you can choose the file type. And we could clip to the graphic extent, which would clip it a little bit of this white area off. You can change, how much dots per inch do you want, other options. And I'll export it. Export in progress. Done. All right. View exported file. There it is. Okay, so I got this beautiful map showing cattle inventory and number of cows per person in the United States. So I've got this beautiful summary of, you might just want to know how's the cow situation right now in the United States. And well, here's a map showing you exactly what the cow situation is. All right. Okay, let's see. Anybody got any questions? I'm glad you can hear me now. All right. So let's give me a second. I gotta go to ArcGIS Online. I already shared this map, but I want to show you how to do it. So I'm going to delete the map that I shared earlier, so that we can do it again. I'm going to ArcGIS Online. I'm going into my content, and I have a United States cattle inventory map, and I'm going to delete it from ArcGIS Online. All right, now we're going to share it again. Okay, so here's my map, and I want to share this with the world. Okay, and let's just So I'm gonna go through the process of what you do, the steps you do in the program to share to ArcGIS Online, and I expect it not to work. I think it's not going to work the first time. We'll get some errors, but we'll talk about. Well, I know it's not going to work actually, and we'll talk about why it's not working and try to fix those errors. Okay. All right. Okay. So close this. So I have this beautiful map of cows, the cow inventory, and I want to share it with the world. So if I go to share, one of the options under the share tab is web map. All right, so let's click that. And let me give the web map a name. So I'm going to call it United States cattle too many T's. Cattle inventory 2020. And you got to put in the summary. So this would be an inventory of the number of cattle, including calves, that was part of our data, in each of the 50 United States in January of 2020. The ratio of cattle to people is also shown using population data from the it's 2019 population data, population estimates from the U.S. Census. I can't spell. Bureau. There we go. And you got to put at least one tag here. Cattle. Okay. And so you got some options here. Do you want your map to be exploratory only? It's an interactive map that people can see and interact with, but they can't change it. Do you want it to be editable? That's a map that you and other people can edit on ArcGIS Online. And you got another option here, visualization, which is geared toward, well, just like it sounds like. It's optimized for rendering quickly on the web. All right, so we're just going to do exploratory. And then here I can pick a folder I want it to be in. Remember, I'm logged into ArcGIS Online because I have to log in with my credentials to register ArcGIS Pro. So I'm just going to put this in my root directory. And let's share it with everyone, so the whole world will be able to see this. Okay, so now I'm going to click Analyze, and this is where I think it'll break. Let's see. Okay. All right, so let's take these one at a time. All right, I don't know if you can read these errors. They're probably really small on your screen. Let's see. This one's probably the easiest one to deal with. So I got this error. It says layer does not have a feature template set. All right, that's just a warning. It's not critical. We could export it even with it. Let's see. So I went here and I select the layer that is giving us this warning. It's the number of cows per person. So it's saying that there's no feature template associated with this layer. And okay, so my understanding of what this is this is saying that ArcGIS Online is optimized to use certain templates, and this layer doesn't have a template assigned to it. So if you upload it without a template, it will just use some default template to render it on ArcGIS Online. But what you can also do is you can generate the template that you want it to use. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see. Where am I going here? It's in the Edit tab. In this feature box of the Edit tab, if I click this little button here, the Manage Template box comes up. And then what I want to do is just pick, this map, contiguous US, and then down here, just right-click on that map and do Create All Templates. Okay, that's why I just right-click, Create All Templates. So this is the map I'm trying to share, contiguous US. Right-click, Create All Templates. All right, so let's go back here and analyze again, and that error should go away. Okay, so now it's got templates. All right, what's next? How about this one? So this is a problem. This one says the layer data source is not supported. Let's go to the layer. Select layer. So the cattle inventory layer has a data source that is not supported. Okay. All right. So here's my understanding of what this error is. This is saying that, remember ArcGIS Pro can use all kinds of different types of data files, including shape files, geodatabases, and others. So the problem that we're running into here is this layer on my map here has some data structure, data format that's not native, it's not supported by ArcGIS Online. Okay, and so what I'll do to fix this, I think the easiest way to fix this is I can't remember how I think we might have generated this layer from a shape file. I can't remember. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to export this layer to my geo database, and then I'll re-import it so that the newly imported stuff is coming from the geo database. All right. So leave that open. Let's go to my catalog. So I already did this earlier. I'm gonna have to give it. So if I right click on this cattle inventory and do data export features, okay, and I'm gonna export this cattle inventory layer, the features on this layer, to my Cows of America geo database, and I'll call it cattle inventory 2. Okay, just call it something that I haven't named before. About cattle inventory new. Click OK, and then what you'll see is, let me go over here and refresh this. You'll see that now my geo database has a feature class associated with this layer, cattle inventory new, and it created a layer on my map for this layer. But you notice that the symbology is not correct. Okay, so I'm trying to correct the data source format, but I've created a new problem. All right. So what I want to do is I have this new layer that's created on my map, but I want it to have the same symbology as another layer that's on my map. Okay, so I could manually go in and change everything, but it would be a heck of a lot easier if I could just if there was some way that I could just apply the symbology of one layer to another layer. And well, there is. Okay, so let's do that. This is one of the skills in chapter 3 that you'll learn. So we want this layer's symbology to be applied to this layer. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to we'll open up the geoprocessing toolbox. So if you go to analysis tools, this comes up, and let's search for, I already have it in here. Let's see what tools have the word symbology in them. So what I'm looking for, here it is the first result. I want to apply symbology from a layer to another layer. Okay, so I'm going to pick that. My input layer is this new layer that I have on my map called cattle inventory new. And to this layer, I want to apply the symbology of the layer called cattle inventory. And the attribute in cattle inventory new that I want to visualize is, you might not remember this, but the cattle numbers are in a column labeled value in the attribute table, and I want to apply that symbology to the same column in the new attribute table in cattle inventory new. And I want to maintain the ranges that I have set manually here for the different symbols. So I'll pick that right here and then do run. Boom. They're the same. Okay. So now at this point, I'm going to just remove this layer from my map. And I'm just going to rename this cattle inventory. All right, I'll close that. So now if I go back to my share map and let's analyze again, hopefully that layer there. Now that error went away. So I've corrected that data source error. Now I'm down to my last error. Okay. So this last error, all right, so you have to understand something about how ArcGIS Online works. So ArcGIS Online has a lot of the same capabilities of ArcGIS Pro, but it's an online system. So there's the base maps that are rendered on ArcGIS Online are not the same as the base maps that are rendered in ArcGIS Pro. What's different is, the actual imagery may be the same, but the projections used are different. And so we're getting this error because there's a mismatch between the projection that ArcGIS Online uses and the projection that our map here is using. Okay, so what we got to do is use a projection that is use the projection that ArcGIS Online wants. Okay, and what it wants is WGS 1984 Web Mercator Auxiliary Sphere. So it wants the default projection. And so I don't screw up my other map here, I made a new map with all the same information, but with this default projection. And now to cancel. Now if we go here to web map, oh shoot, I gotta type all that stuff again. What did I call it? United States Cattle Inventory 2020. I'll just make this short. An inventory of cattle including calves in the several states. The number of cattle per person is also shown. Cattle. Okay. And I'll put this in my root folder, share it with everybody. Let's click Analyze. I'm having the same problem as I did before, so let me fix that. I changed maps here, so now I gotta fix this cattle inventory again. No problem. I'm just gonna apply the symbology from the layer again. Go. Move this layer. Rename this. All right. All right, we're ready to go. No more errors. So now I'll click Share. It's going to analyze again, and now you'll see it's got the message down there, publishing individual web layers. All right, so it's still publishing. It will take a minute here. We're almost done. Still says publishing individual web layers. Uploading the web item to the map, and it's done. All right, let's go see if it's there. So let me open Chrome, and we'll go to arcgis.com, and I'll sign in using my credentials. Working. It's thinking about letting me in. What the heck? Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so this is my landing page when I log in, associated with Shepherd University Geomatics. And I want to look at my content, so I'll go here. And here's my root directory. I got lots of junk in here. But here's the United States Cattle Inventory 2020 that I just made. You'll notice that this map has other files associated with it. It's got the feature layer, which is hosted here, United States Cattle Inventory. So this contains the layers, cattle inventory and number of cows per person, these two different polygon layers. And there's service definitions. And here's my map. If I click open map, there it is. Okay, so here it is for the world to see. I can look at the legend, cattle inventory, value. I forgot, I should have changed that to number. Number of cows per person. So it's the same information, but you can see the projection is not the same as what it was in ArcGIS Pro. So that's that. Okay, so we ran into a couple of errors, but they weren't too hard to fix. And I'm sure we'll run into other errors and that are fixable. Okay. All right, so that's that. That's how you share a web map, and that's how you make a layout. And at this point, you have the skill necessary to accomplish Practicum 1. You have the skills. Well, you've been exposed to the techniques that you need to know to accomplish Practicum 1, okay? Including making a layout and sharing your map on ArcGIS Online, okay? So you have plenty of time. It's now the 7th, and that's due on the 24th. So you got almost 2 weeks. Nope, you got over 2 weeks to finish Lab Practicum 1. So if that's something you want to work on, independently, you can come into the lab on Tuesdays to work on that. Thursdays, you can work on your lab practicum if you are finished with the lab lesson for that week. All right, let's take a look at this PowerPoint for a few minutes. Okay. Let's see, wrong password. Let's see if anyone signed up for tomorrow. No one signed up for tomorrow. Okay. Still got time. If no one signs up, I'll tell Hannah that she just doesn't have to come. What am I looking for here? Here it is. It's in last week's. So I got this PowerPoint started. Google Slides started summarizing key definitions that we've encountered. What is geographic information system? What's geospatial data? What is map scale? So one of the counterintuitive perhaps aspects of map scale is small scale maps show less detail over larger geographical areas. and large-scale maps show more detail over smaller areas. It just seems backwards. What's a map layer? What's vector data? What's raster data? What is a feature attribute? What's a geodatabase? What's a choropleth map? Which we've made a lot of now. What are geographic coordinates? Latitude and longitude. Reminds me I need to add something. Different types of map projection. So you got these idealized examples of projections onto surfaces that are cylindrical, conical, or planar, and in reality, map projections aren't purely any of those things for the most part. So these are like we would classify a map projection as being cylindrical, conical, or planar if it has similarities to these projections, these idealized projections. Map projection distortions. There's 4 main types, and the key here is all map projections have distortions, because it is impossible to represent a 3-dimensional surface on a 2-dimensional surface without having distortions. You can't do it. You can't take the peel of an orange and flatten it out without stretching it or tearing it or compressing it in certain areas. And so you pick a map projection based on the purpose of the map. If you want the map to be useful for navigation, then you probably want that map to represent distances and directions in the region of interest accurately. And so you have these different kinds of map projections: cylindrical, conical, and planar. Here it's called azimuthal, but it's just a synonym for planar in this case. And a better way to classify map projections might be to classify them based on the properties that they're designed to preserve. Are they designed to preserve the fidelity of area, shape, distance, direction? So I gave you some examples here. Conformal projection means that it preserves shape. If it preserves shape, it preserves angle. So the Mercator projection is an example of this. One thing that is important even here is that in the Mercator projection, a conformal projection, it says it's designed to make things look the way that they actually do, preserve shape. But even that is, you're only guaranteed that this is going to be true locally. So near a point, another way of saying this is that if you pick a point on the map, at that point the vertical scale and the horizontal scale are exactly the same. So 1 inch in this direction is the same as 1 inch in this direction. But if you go to another point on that same map, that property will still be true. The vertical and horizontal scales are the same, but the scale is probably going to be different. So conformal maps preserve the way things look, but area is seriously distorted. So that's why the Mercator projection makes Greenland look like as big as Africa. Greenland is nowhere as near as big as Africa. Okay. Look at that. Greenland, as big as Africa. Africa, as big as North America. No, Africa is really big. Equal area projection. So here's an example of a projection that is designed to preserve the area of surface features, but the consequence of that is these other properties get distorted. Shape, you get things that are squished at the poles or stretched out at the poles. Direction and distances, forget about it. But the area of objects are the same. So the Albers conic projection, or Albers equal area conic projection, there's another projection called the Lambert projection, are, these are conic projections. Here's a plane projection, and plane projections are like, so this is an oversimplification because there's different ways that you can project light onto a plane surface. But one way you can think about this, I guess this would be an orthographic plane projection, is imagine you had an Earth globe that was transparent except for the continents, and you put a light behind it and you shine this bright light through the globe, and that projects a shadow of the continents onto a movie screen. That's what a plane projection would be. And so what you get is a lot of distortion at the edges, because where you have a lot of curvature, you're going to get a lot of distortion. But at the center, you have good fidelity. And so another property of these types of projections are that they can be made to be equidistant, which means they accurately capture the true distances between places, but only for a single point. All right, so this map I'm showing you right here is a polar, a projection of the polar region, and here, let me show it to you. And all distances from this central point right here at the North Pole to other points on this graph or in this map are true. So you could use this map to measure distances from the North Pole to other places on the Earth. But that's it. You can't use it to measure distances from Argentina to places on the map. Those would not be true, just this one place. Okay, that's enough for today. So, spend some time with these slides, and the first exam is going to be mostly multiple choice / fill in the blank, and it's going to be questions that test your understanding of concepts like this. Okay, so I predict you're going to do excellent. I think you're going to do excellent on the first test. That's my prediction. All right. So I will see you on Wednesday. All right. But if you want to go to lab tomorrow, use the sign-up sheet, and Hannah will be there. All right. Talk to you later.